If you've watched any of the recent Minecraft update trailers, you'll know that they have an animation style that is very different from the actual game. Unfortunately, there is no way to replicate this style in-game, or so I thought. I recently discovered a video from a YouTuber named LowResBones, who had managed to use a mixture of mods and resource packs to make the game look almost identical to the trailer. There will be a link in the description to their video. Make sure to check it out if you want to learn how to make your game look like this too. My plan is to spend 1 month inside Minecraft's trailer. During these 30 days, I have a few challenges that I want to complete, each corresponding to a different update. My goal is to explore all of the cave biomes, raid a bastion, make a custom home for a bee and axolotl, get hit by a goat, and finally, defeat a raid. Oh yeah, and did I mention I'm doing this all in hardcore mode? That's a lot of things to do in just 1 month, so let's not waste any time and hop straight into the video. My adventure started similarly to most. I gathered food, crafted basic tools, and then went exploring. The first cave that I entered was filled with water and didn't have much except for a few pieces of iron and coal. While looking for another cave, I came across a mountain that was covered in veins of coal, iron, and copper. The rest of the day and night was spent mining out the resources on the mountain and in shallow caves. I also had to fight a bunch of mobs that were determined to end me as quickly as possible. Day 2 began with the sounds of damage from a zombie that had gotten stuck in a block of powdered snow. Shortly after, I discovered a huge lagoon that would be the perfect place for a mega base. It's a shame I only have 30 days in this world, otherwise I would definitely build something here. With the basic resources collected, I began exploring for a village. My luck was pretty good, and I found an acacia village before the end of the day. However, my plan was to set up in a plains village, so I wasn't done searching yet. Didn't stop me from robbing everything though. My looting spree continued into day 3 as I found a ruined portal, shipwreck with the buried treasure map, and subsequently, a treasure chest with lots of goodies. Although the loot was nice, the highlight of the day was taming a dog. Make sure to leave a comment with #dog and your name suggestions below. While searching for the village, I made sure to gather leather and sugarcane for a future enchanting setup. Before the day was over, I also raided another 2 shipwrecks, which filled my inventory to the brim. The next day, I finally found a plains village on top of a mountain. There wasn't much time left in the day, so I set up a temporary base in a cow pen. There were a lot of goals that I wanted to accomplish during this month, and while time was limited, I still wanted to make a small starter base. I was really inspired by a floating island in the middle of the village and decided to build my base on top of it. To start off, I made a staircase up a nearby mountain that would give me access to the island. Once that was done, I made a bridge connecting the 2 pieces of land. The actual house was your average wooden starter base. It definitely wasn't my best build ever, but it would serve my needs throughout this challenge. To start day 11, I gathered materials for a long mining session. I wasn't going to come home until I had found diamonds. The caving trip started out slowly as I was having a difficult time finding a cave that went below Y0. Mining in the upper layers of the world did allow me to get more iron and coal, so things weren't all bad. Eventually, I found a crevice in the wall that opened up to the more lucrative deep slate levels. Soon after entering the deep slate cave, I discovered my first diamonds. To make things even better, it was an 8 vein. I used 3 of the diamonds to craft a pickaxe and then mined a bunch of obsidian from a small lava lake. My main goal for this trip was to get a bunch of diamonds, so I decided to go branch mining at bedrock level to get more. During the next 2 days, I found a grand total of 12 diamonds, which I was satisfied with due to my lack of fortune. When I returned to the village, I immediately crafted an enchanting table and 8 bookshelves. To get the rest of the materials for the enchanting setup, I went around and gathered leather from the cows in the area. I already had all the sugarcane needed, so I was able to make the remaining bookshelves before the day was over. I built the enchanting setup on the mountain, connecting the floating island to the mainland. When I went to grab some lapis from my chest, I noticed that there was a hole in the middle of my roof. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but my theory is that a bolt of lightning struck my house during a thunderstorm. After grabbing the lapis, I enchanted my pickaxe and helmet. Unfortunately, I didn't have many levels, so I had to take lower level enchants rather than full level 30s. The next enchantment that I rolled was shocking. There was a feather falling 4 enchant available for my diamond boots at the 2nd level. Trust me, these boots end up being one of the most useful items in this challenge. To start the next day, I jumped off of the floating island. Yes, I know that this definitely was not the smartest decision, but I just had to know if I would survive. With that done, I grabbed my obsidian, made a portal next to my enchanting setup, and then traveled to the nether. I was already more than half of the way through this challenge, so I decided to go searching for a bastion immediately. Luckily, I was able to find a bastion before day 17 was over. Unluckily, it was a treasure bastion, which, if you didn't know, is the most dangerous variant. Instead of me narrating over this part, let's hop into a good old-fashioned montage. After raiding the bastion, I stayed in the nether and mined quartz until I was level 30. My original plan was to enchant my chestplate with a high level enchant, but the one available was not very good. Instead, I enchanted my bow, and wow, am I glad that I did. I ended up getting power, unbreaking, and infinity. This was going to be incredibly overpowered against the raid. On my previous caving trip, I had found a dripstone cave, and as many of you know, there is another cave biome. This is, of course, the lush cave. In order to find a lush cave, I explored the surface of the world, looking for azalea trees that spawn above the lush cave. However, this time was a bit different. Parts of a lush cave had spawned at the same height I was boating around at. I actually think this is a very cool detail, as it makes the different levels of the world feel more connected. To find the underground part of the biome, I simply dug down, and voila, giant cave. Almost immediately after entering the cave, I encountered 2 axolotls, which I scooped up in buckets to take home. This was one of the biggest caves that I have ever been in, and many parts of it generated all the way down to the bottom of the world. Bottom of the world? Massive cave? You know what that means. It was time to find some diamonds. In the space of around 10 minutes, I discovered 3 veins of diamonds and added 10 more shiny blue rocks to my collection. I was also jump scared by baby zombies, but other than that, things went pretty well. While exiting the cave, I found an amethyst geode and harvested some of the crystals. With the extra diamonds, I crafted a helmet and a pair of pants. I then enchanted the gear with some low-level enchants. Once that was done, I began constructing a home for my 2 axolotls. I didn't have time for anything super extravagant, so I just dug into the side of the mountain to make a little alcove. I used a mix of different stones for the walls, followed by a sprinkling of moss and plants from the lush cave. It wasn't my best build for sure, but I'm sure the axolotls will enjoy it. I've finished exploring the caves of Minecraft, which means that it's time to switch things up and give the cliffs some love. For obvious reasons, mountains are a bit easier to find than lush caves, and it didn't take long before I found what I was looking for. I was really excited to begin exploring until this happened. Let's just say that my water bucket got a lot of use that day. On day 25, I found a new mountain that was home to a herd of goats. I used a piece of wheat to lure one of the goats to the top of a hill, and then built around it. I made sure that the only way for it to escape would be to headbutt me. I'm not sure if the goat was having a bad day, but there was absolutely no hesitation to hit me as far as it could. While chopping trees earlier in the challenge, I discovered a beehive and trapped all the bees inside. I was originally planning to silk touch the hive and make a new home on the mountain, but I didn't end up getting silk touch, which means that I was going to have to bring the home to the bees instead. I knew that bees love flowers, so I spent the first part of the day walking around and getting as many as I could. After that, I cleared out an area around the hive and then covered the ground in flowers. This wasn't a huge project, but the Buzzy Bees update wasn't super huge either, so it makes sense. It seemed that the Minecraft gods wanted to reward me for my work, as I came across a pillager patrol on the way back to the village. I eliminated the patrol and then trapped the captain in a boat. This would allow me to start the raid whenever I wanted. It was almost time to complete the final challenge of this video, but before I could start, I needed to make a few preparations. I started by trapping all of the villagers in their houses to prevent them from dying during the raid. Then I crafted a few golden apples and extra pieces of gear to avoid having to make anything during the raid. To finish off, I repaired the iron golems of the village. This ended up being one of my best decisions in this video. It's time for the raid, and you know what else it's time for? A montage. I'll see you on the other side. There was still some time left in the day, so I used a saddle that I had gotten to tame a horse. Before going to bed for the final time, I explored everything that I had built and said my final goodbyes to the villagers. With all of my goals completed, I was finally able to do what I had been excited for this entire video: explore. Being able to pseudo-enter Minecraft's trailer had been an awesome experience, and if it weren't for my PC not being able to run the mods well, I would definitely play like this more often. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. But other than that, this has been GlitchNOut. Goodbye everyone.